Quote Rick Warren: "While it is wise to learn from experiences, it is wiser to learn from the experiences of others." Good evening, everyone. I'm Adya Jha, a CSE sophomore at NIT Raipur.
And it's Lakshmi Mulchandani, a student of second year electrical engineering at NIT Raipur.
We, on behalf of CodeChef Chapter NIT Raipur, welcome you to this amazing session of Intern Talk 1.0, where we'll talk anything and everything internships. CodeChef college chapters are programming clubs under the mentorship of CodeChef, intending to build robust competitive programming culture in institutes.
And as you may know, our guest for today is Mr. Saurabh Mishra, who is an upcoming intern at Adobe and a student of our very own college. So without any further ado, let's get started. So to begin with, sir, we would like you to please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello everyone, my name is Saurabh Mishra and thank you for inviting me. I'm third year student of NIT Raipur and competitive programmer, as well as I am Adobe intern in this summer 2022.
Congratulations, sir, on being selected to intern with Adobe in the summer of 2022. What was your first impression when you got to know that you would be interning with them?
Around after 2 hours of my interview, I got this news that I'm going to I'm selected in this Adobe, and it was a great feeling. In my interview, I had some idea because of my interview went so good. So I know that I will get selected in this interview in the Adobe. So it was a great feeling that I got selected in Adobe, and it was a great achievement for me.
I'm more than astonished by how well you get selected. I feel like you were confident about it. So,
Yeah.
I want to ask, when you are preparing for interview, the interview like Adobe, we feel like there must be really hard question must be asked and very advanced topic, highest technology must be required. So, is it true? Your interview was like that, very hard and very advanced technologies were required.
No, generally in internship interviews, they don't ask you advanced data structures. And in my interview too, they did not ask me about any advanced data structures, but they asked some simple data structures. And they want the concept clarity as well as line by line explanation of my code. So I think concept clarity is more your requirement than the advanced data structure topics and anything else.
Okay. So, sir, when was the time that you really got serious about internships and placements?
Okay, so in my first year, when I came into NIT, I had not any idea about how this internship and everything works. And in my first year, I started my programming with Python, which was not really a good language for competitive programming. And after that, in my second year, when I gave first contest of TCP, so I got a bad rank in that contest. And after that contest, I realized that I'm not good in competitive programming, and how can I get internship and placements? So then I explore about everything, that how can I get internship and how much time I have to do and what I should do about it. So after that, I started my preparation, and I made my strategies accordingly.
Sir, whoever who is preparing for becoming an SDE definitely comes across a point where he asks himself, should I be focusing on CP or DSA? Sir, I want to ask you, how would you answer the question CP versus DSA? What is more important? What has more priority? What is your take on that?
Okay, so for me, CP means I started with CP. Basically, I did not more focused on data structures, but I started with CP and more concentrated on CP. But for interview purpose, you can go with only DSA. And it is good to go with DSA for interview, because in interviews you will be asked some DSA problems and anything like that. But for assessment, if for assessment and code exam, if you are a competitive programmer, then it will be easier for you to pass this assessment test than the non-competitive programmer. Because you will face some problems like that you might have not seen that before. So you will face, in order to face that problem, if you are a competitive programmer, then you are more comfortable than a non-competitive programmer.
So, sir, my next question is, with so much buzz around CP and DSA, how can a student who is targeting internships or placements, how can they balance both? How can they maintain that balance between CP and DSA?
In my case, when I was preparing for interviews, I was more concentrated on DSA. At first time, I was more concentrated on CP. But after that, when I realized that in interviews they ask some standard DSA problems and those, then I prepared DSA so much. But if you are preparing for assessment, then you need CP, and for interviews you need DSA also. And DSA is a prerequisite of CP, so you must concentrate on DSA first. And if you are good at DSA, then you can solve CP problems. But giving contest is a good thing, so you can take competitive programming as a sport also. So you can give contest as well as you can enjoy it also.
Sir, if you don't mind, I have a question. It's kind of a little personal question. Like, how many questions had you solved by the time when you were appearing for intern? It's like I think many of us would like to know that. Like, how many
Okay.
questions are required?
So I started in November, I think, and November to July, I did 900 problems on code forces and around 350 to 400 problems on lead code for DSA.
Wow, that's a good number. Is it necessary to solve these many questions? And also, how can one measure their level of preparedness while preparing for these interviews?
No, basically, number of problems doesn't matter. But the thing is that if you have time to do problem solving, then practice makes a man perfect. So you have to practice more and more problems. And if you are doing problems more and more, then you will be able to come up with a solution in lesser time than any other person. But solving these much problems will not guarantee you that you can get selected. Or if you have solved less problems, then also you can get selected. But if you have time, then you should solve more and more problems. There are some of my friends who get selected in lesser problems also, as well as some of my friends are there who have solved more than this and more than this problem, but unfortunately they are not able to get any internship. So choosing the problems as well as learning from the problem is most important thing. Number of problems will matter in your speed also. So you have to consider that thing also.
Sir, like, what happens is when we are preparing for any exams or anything, then a phase comes where we feel stuck. We feel tempted to give up. Like we feel very demotivated and feel like we cannot do it. So at that time, how did you cope up with that? How did you manage that?
Okay, so in my case, I don't take this much tension for anything because I plan for something, and if I'm not achieving it, then there is something means which I'm not able to do. And if you're planning something to do, and if you are just completing your task regularly, then sooner or later you will achieve it. So there should not be any room for demotivation for yourself. So try to just complete your tasks and believe that sooner or later you will achieve whatever you want.
Well, before moving forward, I'd like to tell our audience that we'll take up the questions at the interview. So kindly stay tuned till the end and also drop your queries in the chat box below. Coming back to you, sir, how can one keep themselves motivated in this tedious journey? What to do when things don't go as per our plan?
Okay, so if things are not going according to your plan, then there can be some mistakes. If you choose some plan that is not of your level, if you choose something that you cannot do but you decided to do that, so you will get stuck definitely in that, and you will feel demotivated in that problem also. So don't choose such a huge plans that you cannot able to complete. Choose small plans and try to execute them accordingly. And if you try to make plans and execute them slowly, then you will be able to get huge plans. You can clear everything that you want. So if you are giving any contest and if you are feeling demotivated, then try to make another plan which is better than that. So you will definitely be able to achieve that goal also.
Sir, as many of our audience, like many people are from first year. In fact, most of them are first year. So I think they would love to know how was your first year and how did you begin things, like in more detail, like everything, how it went.
Okay. So when I came to NIT, I was not means very aware of competitive programming as well as data structures and all these things. So I wanted to know that how should I start, and then I went to YouTube and searched for all these things that how should I start and which language should I firstly choose for. So I chose Python for as my first language, and I started to work on some data science things and everything like that. So after doing those things in Python, I started machine learning as well as all those things, but I did not do the DSA part, and I started some problems on hacker rank also. So it was my a mistake also, but it all the first year I did all these things and I as well as I was not able to get uh, good catch on competitive programming, I should say. Means I was not able to how to go on competitive programming and what is competitive programming. I did not even know that. So after first year, I switched on that.
So, like, due to the COVID situation now, our colleges are completely online. But back in the day, when you were in first year, colleges were offline. So, can you tell us what were the extracurricular activities that you were involved in?
Okay, so in my first year, when colleges were offline, I was not in most of the extracurricular activities, but I have joined ISEL at that time. And when I worked at ISEL 1 or 2 months, but then I realized that it is not good to work with something that I don't know. And slowly I just leave ISEL and I started to focus on this programming and stuffs. Just I joined that, and no extra. I was not involved in many extracurricular activities and any groups also.
Sir, there are always some rights and wrongs we do. So when you were in first year, you shared some experiences. But if you have to pinpoint something, you have like you can go back in your time and you can tell something to yourself. What advice would you give to your first year self?
Uh, for my first year, I want to say that if I were in first year, then when I was in first year, as I go for the Python for my first language, and I did not try to explore more things. So for first years, I should say that try to find out the best way in which you can go, and try to find that is it a good way for you or not. If it is a good way, then you should go on that. Otherwise you will waste your time, as I did. My first year went not that good because I tried to all these things. I did not start competitive programming and I was not working for my internship and placement. So I would definitely go to focus on my competitive programming, and I think I would if I would not chosen that thing, then I would be better at that time.
Okay. So, sir, can you share the details of your interview experience with Adobe?
Okay, so my interview happened on 31st of August last year, and my interviewer was so good. It was around 1 hour, I think. Adobe took one. Adobe takes only one interview, and in my interview, he asked me first my introduction, and then he asked me about my college journey, that how my first year and all the time went, and then he asked me about the subject that I read in my first year and my second year too, and from some subjects of my first year and second year, he took some problems and asked me answers for that. And then after answering them, he asked me some DSA problems for which I prepared for, and my DSA problems went as per my plan in the interview. And after that, he asked me to design some website also, because I mentioned my project also in there. And in my interview, he asked me some puzzle problems also. So my interview consists of everything that in one interview that can happen. So overall, first my 1 hour went so good, because I answered everything correctly, and he was seeming so satisfied with my answers. And after 1 hour, he told me all the best for all the best also for the further rounds. And overall, it was in some cases, I think he asked me some problems, data structures problems, and after that, he told me to explain everything line by line and behind the scenes what is happening. Like with DSA, he wanted to get the OS problems also. So he wanted to the deep knowledge of everything, that I can explain anything in deep way or not.
Sir, you shared just about the Adobe interview experience, but it's like many people don't know how a general interview is like and how Adobe interview is like. I want you to please, can you pinpoint on some things like what makes the interview with Adobe different from any other interview, and how did you prepare for that particularly?
So as I told you, other companies takes 2 or 3 interviews, and Adobe takes only one interview. And in Adobe's interview, in my interview, I will tell you about my interview, that in interviews that you can see for any companies, there are certain patterns that you can find. There are some common things that you can see in those interviews. So what was in Adobe? Adobe asked some problems on some deep problems on operating system, as well as object-oriented programming also. But they generally don't ask problems from database management system. So at that time, I left the database management system on a light way, but I worked on operating system as well as on object-oriented programming, and it goes in the same way. And for data structures, I saw that Adobe asks generally easy to moderate problem, not hard problem in their interviews. So I prepared general data structures also, but I was focused on some data structures like LinkedIn and trees more, because in these data structures we can see that we can find more than one ways to solve these data structures, as well as we can easily solve them all too. So in order to crack any interview, or in order to command your interview, you should find these kind of things. Like if you are solving problems on linked list, and if you are solving problems from trees, then you will be able to come up with a solution or multiple solutions. And if you are investing your time in those solutions in your interview, then it will make a good effect on interviewer. And after that, I know that sometimes means I saw in some interviews that Adobe asked one puzzle problem also. So for that plus point, I prepared all the puzzles that are present on Geeks for Geeks as well as interview website. So and I mentioned that on my resume also, because I wanted definitely that 1 marks on my interview. So he asked me the puzzle also, and then I answered that puzzle because it was a repetition of previous year puzzle. So I answered that clearly, and it went in a better way that it can be.
Okay. So, sir, in your replies, you have mentioned a lot about planning. So, in my opinion, it was your ability to make plans and execute them that got you here. Do you agree with it?
Yeah, definitely. My plans means I did not make any plan for my previous companies before Adobe. So I made this mistake. Like I was not able to crack one aptitude also there because I was not able to means I was not able to come up with the I was not able to pass the aptitude test because I was not that good in aptitude. I was prepared for the interview. I was prepared for anything else, but I was not that good in aptitude. But when that aptitude test happened, then I realized that my aptitude was not that good. So after that, I targeted one more company, like which was DBI. And in DBI, I planned for that aptitude, but DBI don't ask about aptitude. They ask CS fundamentals, and no aptitude was there in their assessment. So in that test also, I was not able to give time my coding questions, and means I was not able to efficiently distribute my time between coding problems as well as in CS fundamental problem. So I was not able to pass that assessment also. And after that, there was I think 1 month before Adobe came. So I had this 1 month to prepare for Adobe. So definitely after that I made plan and strategies for everything that I can do. And after that, when everything goes as per my plan, so it was so good for me, and it is seeming like that.
Sir, just you said about planning. Actually, even all of us, actually, I guess everyone do make plans, but they're not able to execute it properly. So you want to say something on that?
Okay, so for planning, I told you that for planning you should make plans not that much, means you cannot make huge plans for you that you cannot able to complete, because if you make plans and that are already bigger than your capability, then you will not able to you will not able to execute it. So try to make small plans as much as you can and try to execute them step by step. Otherwise you will get stuck in any situation, or you will get easily get distracted. So make plans according to yourself and then execute it. It will be efficient.
So, I'm sure our audience would love to know what is keeping you busy these days and what is it that you're looking forward to.
Okay, so these days competitions are going on regularly, like contests on code forces and CodeChef are going on regularly, as well as I'm giving lead codes contest, and recently this CodeChef's hackathon as well as hash code and everything is going on, and I'm preparing for my internship also. Means in my internship I have to know some technologies that I am working on, so that I can easily work on those technologies in my internship time. So I'm doing that also, as well as my DSA and CP is going in better way than it was going before internship, because I am focusing more on data structures and algorithm than competitive programming.
So, before we start taking queries from our audience, sir, do you have any last messages for our audience you would like to tell them before taking their queries?
Okay, so for first year students, I want to say that they can do anything for now because they have a lot of time. So they should select a better way that they can work on, and if they are working on some wrong technologies, then they can easily change their path. So try to work on the for your internship as well as for your placement, and choose the right ways to do, and you will be better than anyone of us.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure our audience must have enjoyed it and got to learn a lot. Now we'll move on to the questions from the audience.
So we can see we have many questions. So we are choosing questions which we feel are like right to answer right now. So the first question is like PAP is asking, PAP Kritik Prakash is asking that like how much time it is required to do DS Algo.
So it is no means you cannot say that how much time required to do DSA, but you should give it as much as time you did not get until you don't get comfortable in that DSA. So if you are comfortable in DSA, then you should work on the same level. And if you are not comfortable in the DSA, then you should force yourself to do that, because DSA will never end. So you have to work until you get the perfection in that. So try to give it time as much as you can, and you will get better results.
So here we have a question from Aditya Kumar. He's asking, sir, how to handle pressure during the interviews.
Okay, so for pressure during the interview, you can for pressure, you can take and give your mock interviews to your friends, and you can take their interviews too, so that you can get how to give answers in the interview. And for interview purpose, you should select your resume also. Like if you are mentioning something in your resume, then you should just think that if interviewer is asking something from this topic, then you will be answered correctly or not. If you are able to answer that correctly, then you should put that in your resume. And if you are very good at something, then you should definitely put that in your resume. And giving mock interview to your friends and taking their interview will help you to find the solutions for those problems which you will not be able to come up with the interview's pressure. So it will be help you in that scenario that you will fail if you are not able to think about any certain problem, that you are not able to come up with a solution. Then how can you approach that problem during interview? It will help you a lot.
Sir, we have a question here. Like, how can you prepare for multiple approaches? As you said, interviewer asked multiple approaches. So, how can we prepare multiple approaches for a particular question?
Okay, so there are some data structures like linked list and trees. And linked list, we can do linked list in two ways certainly. One is recursive approach and one is iterative approach. It is certain that you can do it in these two ways. And there are multiple ways to do many problems. So if there are some certain data structure that is giving you already two methods, then you should concentrate on that data structures, as well as there are some problems that you can find out some little means there are some algorithms like binary search. Binary search can give you answer in log n, and in linear search you can also find out the answer in O of n. So firstly you can go with the O of n, then you can give the optimized approach in big O of log n. Like it will affect your interview also.
So we have a lot of questions regarding projects. Like people are asking, like Saransh Sharma asks, can you please tell the role of projects in grabbing these opportunities when you started your preparation? Then there's someone, then Shreya Pandey is asking, when should we start with our projects? And any good project helps us to return.
Okay, so first thing is that DSA is most important thing, and after that, if you are considering the project, then project will help you in several ways. Like if there is project present in your resume, then you can see that if interviewer don't have any problems related to DSA and anything else, then he can ask something else, problem related to something else that you don't know or you don't know. It is, but if you have resume in your if you have project in your resume, then it is certain that you know about that project. So there are chances that there will be 2 or 3 problems from the field that you know already. So it will be beneficial for your resume that it has any project and you have the problems that you are able to solve them easily. So projects will help you in that way also. And if you have multiple projects, then that can means if you have multiple projects, or if you have a project that can that can help you in this way, that if you made any mistake in your interview, but your project is that good and you give every detail of that project, like you did everything in that project, so it will help you means it will definitely give effect of, it will definitely show you the effect, because DSA is important thing, but having a project is a good thing. But if you don't have a project and you are very good in DSA, then there will not be any problem.
Sir, as you know that in our college, even CSC and IT students do not have any computer-related subject in first semester. They start CP and DSA in second semester as from the college perspective. So Kandula Asrad is asking that should we start preparing for CP and DSA now only, or we should wait for the college to start it?
No, don't wait for any. Don't depend on college for anything. You should start everything from the first semester. If you are starting everything from first semester, then you will be able to overtake anyone. Otherwise, if you depend on college, then there is only 6 months for DSA also and for CP also. You will not learn anything. I don't think you will learn anything from that. So start it before, means don't wait for anything. Start it as soon as possible.
So here we have a question from Vivek Kumar. He's asking, what are the necessary things we should include in our resume?
Okay, so in resume, there can be some project or your achievements. Like in my resume, what was there? In my resume, I put my ranks from Code Forces, from CodeChef and everything. And one project was there, and the subjects of my interests were there, and all these things were there. And nothing means in off-campus apply, you require a good resume, but in on-campus resume is not plays that much better role, means that you are thinking.
Sir, Utkarsh is asking, what are your views on open source? It is out of the topic question, but I think many people are thinking about that right now. Like, what is open source and all that?
Okay, so I don't have any clear idea about open source, so I cannot answer it.
Okay. So here we have a question from Vasudev Mishra. He's asking that how a student of a branch like MME or like non-technical branch should look and start in programming, given that he or she is not from a CSE background. Like someone who's not from a CSE background, how do they get started and start programming?
Okay, so they can easily start from CP and DSA. They can easily start because CP DSA has no limits of any branch or anything, and they can go on different platforms and they can give contest and anything. And for means related to internship and placement, they will not get any on-campus opportunities, so they have to apply off-campus, and they will easily do that also. So for those branches who are not able to get on-campus internship should apply for off-campus internship and work on their DSA and CP skills more than these branches like CSE and IT.
Sir, I have a question of my own, which I would have liked to ask as an audience. What are things other than CP and DSA that are very much required while we are preparing for an interview or an online exam for selection?
Okay, so for me, CSC, CP, and DSA are most important thing for your interviews as well as for your assessment, and some CS fundamentals like object-oriented programming, operating system, and computer networking was also there, and database management system. These four subjects are also necessary, and if you are good at web development and anything, then it will also help you.
So, like Tarun Gupta is asking, like he's worried that his CodeChef rating is not increasing, and he's asking that how to push up rating in CodeChef. Like, are there any question bank or something like that?
No, no, do not consider a rating on CodeChef because there is some problem with CodeChef also. Because just mind how much problems you are solving in the contest. If you are able to solve 3 or 4 problems, then try to solve more and more problems. Because in these days there are some cheaters also which are just giving contest and doing bad things. So your rating will not give clear idea about your skills. So try to solve as much as problems you can. Don't mind about rating.
Sir, here Aditya and Vivek, they have a concern about explaining in the interview. Like Aditya is asking about how to explain a solution, and Vivek is asking, like your English speaking skills and all, does that matter?
Yeah, definitely. English explanation definitely matters. If you know anything and if you are not able to explain it, then it is a bad thing. How can you tell anyone that you know this thing? You should have explained that. So for speaking skills also you should practice that, and it will you will means you will do that by giving mock interviews as much as possible. So try to give mock interviews as much as possible and try to increase your try to make better your explanation as well as means as much as possible.
So, like Aditya Kumar is asking, what is the importance or effect of CPI? And also, like, I think students would want to know how they can manage coding and as well as the curriculum at college, like the courses that we have in college. How do you balance both?
Okay, so CPI doesn't impact that much because if you have CPI more than 8 or 8.5, then it is totally good for any company because I think RCCM just shortlisted according to that CPI, and above 8 pointer candidates are eligible to give assessment test. No other company asked for any CPI problems, but for means to maintain the CPI, I think you should maintain it above 8.5. And in online, it is easy. You can, if you are attending, if you are giving little attention to it, then you can easily get this much CPI.
Sir, while solving problems, there comes a time like there are some sort of questions we just get stuck at. No matter how much we try for days, like weeks pass by, but we are not able to solve it. So for such questions, how do you tackle them? What do you do for them?
Okay, so for these kind of problems, I will say that I don't solve those problems which don't have editorial. Means some competent programmers are also there on YouTube. They say the same thing, that if you don't find editorial, then don't solve that problem, because editorial will help you to learn more things. And if you are not able to solve, or if you are not able to come up with a solution for a particular problem, then definitely there is some new concept involved in that problem that you don't know. So see the editorial after certain time. Don't give a problem too much time, that you said that you give 1 week or 2 weeks. Don't give that much time. Just see the solution after 1 or 1.5 hours.
So there are times when we are unable to solve questions and stuck for days, and the contests don't go bad, and the contests go bad many times. What to do in these times?
Okay, so I told you that if contest is going bad, then there is something that either you don't know or your plan is not going according to you. So try to change the plan and try to work harder than you are doing. So then sooner or later you will definitely get good rating and good command on the DSA part.
But when students start studying for CP and DSA, they are often confused about the resources. So even Utkarsh is asking, should we go for online paid courses or YouTube is better or some other site? What you prefer? Like such
Okay,
questions
so
are there.
when I started learning these language proficiency also, I was not watching any playlist and anything else. What I did, I just went on HackerRank and tried to solve those language proficiency problems. And if you are solving a problem, then you should not see that you are only solving that problem, but you should consider that if that problem comes to you in future, then you should definitely solve that. So try to learn in that way. I think it was beneficial for me, so it will help you too.
So there's a question from Vivek Kumar. He's asking that does CodeChef and hackathons rank? Are they required in service-based companies and product-based companies?
Mm, no, I don't think so because I don't see anything like that. But your skills matters the most.
So I think that was it for today. And now I would like to conclude by saying we don't really learn from experiences. We learn from reflecting on those experiences. And really, I'm pretty much sure that everyone must have learned a lot by the brilliant insight given by Sir on based on his experiences. Sir, thanks a lot for sharing such a valuable information with us.
Also, I'd like to
Thank
thank all the members of the CodeChef chapter for making this event a success. Last but not least, I'd like to thank you all for being such a wonderful and patient audience. Thank you once.